Sawadika, everyone. I've now arrived in Thailand. ดิฉันดีใจมากที่ได้มาอยู่ประเทศไทยค่ะ I'm so happy to be here. And I want to thank all of you for welcoming me with your great ideas, your food suggestions. You've made me smile, and I'm so happy to be welcomed so wonderfully. I can't wait to meet the winners and to start eating food with you. Thank you so much for the great welcome. I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait to meet you. Khab kun mak mak ka. Sawadika.
Have you ever been to Thailand?
Only once before for a conference, very briefly. So it's all new to me.
So what's your expectation of this country?
You know, there are a lot of expectations because Americans know Thailand very well. You know, everyone in America has eaten Thai food. Many people have traveled here. So I knew what a lot of people said, but I think there are some things that are very pleasantly surprising to me. Thai are very friendly. I thought that because I don't speak good Thai, people might not be willing to converse with me.
No, not at all.
People are so Bangkok is a big city, but it doesn't feel like a big city. You know, people are friendly. You can talk to anyone on the street. You can walk around. You know, it's safe. It's convenient. So it's really nice. It's even better than I thought.
Well, nice to hear that.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. I'm very happy here.
Do you think that you're coming to Thailand at a pretty difficult time because we are pretty divided politically?
I think there's the Chinese proverb that says, "May you live in interesting times." And, you know, it's an interesting time in Thailand. But politics are like that in a lot of places. I mean, you've been to the United States. You know our politics can get very divided, very interesting. And I think, you know, that's true here too. A lot of political opinions. But I'll also tell you, I would so much rather live somewhere where people feel free to have political opinions.
Even the color of your shirt can get you in trouble.
That is true. I'm really lucky because blue and green are my favorite colors. So unless someone changes, you never know in the future, I might have to change that. But yes, it is interesting that there's strong views.
What is your main mission here in Thailand?
We've been friends for such a long time, but I think my goal is to know that we have this great friendship, but figure out how we make it relevant for the future. You know, how the next generation knows that it's important that America's a friend, and that Americans know it's important that Thailand is a friend. So my goal in that is to keep looking for ways to move our friendship into the future. You know, creative partnerships, innovation, youth exchange, business growth, jobs, education. You know, take it a little out of our traditional and make it really relevant.
How important is Thailand in terms of the U.S.'s strategic alliance in this region?
I think Thailand is very important on a number of fronts. You know, obviously we have a really long time military alliance and we work very closely, whether it's pirates off the coast of Somalia together or other missions. But I also think if you think about Thailand and the United States strategically as good friends in dealing with regional groupings, ASEAN, dealing with refugees together, doing medical research together. So Thailand, you know, as sort of an anchor in this part of Southeast Asia, I think will continue to be incredibly important to us.
But Indonesia is also another important
Indonesia's,
partner
I mean,
for the US,
you know, every
right?
country in today's world, many countries are important, just like Thailand has many good friends as well. Indonesia is an important country. You know, Malaysia is building a new friendship with us. You know, there are a lot of countries. I think the United States is so much more engaged now with ASEAN and with Southeast Asia. And I know I'm prejudiced because I live in Southeast Asia, but I think that's good. I think it's terrific. It's the way it should be.
What are some of the urgent issues facing Southeast Asia today?
One of the most urgent really is sort of looking at how you deal with these cross-border issues. You know, you and I were just saying how many countries are important because the world really isn't something that just one country can face alone. You know, whether you're talking about the impact of people who cross borders, of refugees, whether you're talking about how to do economic development and build business. So I think the urgent issues are really increasingly how to work together, not just Thailand and the countries around, but Thailand with the United States, Thailand with other partners, how do we solve some of these issues, whether it's avian influenza, issues that are so much bigger than any one country?
How would you advise ASEAN to resolve the Thai-Cambodian conflict?
Good question. It's not my place to give them advice, but what I'll tell you is how the United States sees that. Because, as you know, we said from the beginning, we very much hoped that this would be solved through a dialogue and discussion. And what we've said now is we appreciate the supportive role ASEAN is playing, that this is an issue for Thailand and Cambodia, two neighbors, share a border, and two neighbors who have a lot of relations that are very good. There's a strong economic relationship between Thailand and Cambodia. And so, our hope is that those two countries, Thailand and Cambodia, can find a way to solve a complicated issue. But ASEAN playing a supportive role, I think, is terrific, and we're very pleased with that. I think that's, it's neighbors helping neighbors solve. Admittedly, border disputes are complicated anywhere in the world. Those are hard. You're talking about land.
True.
And in this case, you're talking culture. It's not easy.
On the other side of the border, Burma.
Another complicated issue. As I said, Thailand's incredibly important in this region because there are so many complications. Burma, a country who doesn't allow the kind of protest we see here, doesn't allow the kind of freedom of speech to include getting out people connected through internet or Facebook. They just don't have much of that. And Thailand has borne a lot of the brunt of what's happened in Burma. How many million Burmese now live in Thailand? The refugee camps have hundreds of thousands of people. So Thailand has been a very compassionate neighbor.
What is the U.S.'s stance on Burma?
Our view is that Burma should work its way toward being the kind of country we all have, where citizens are free to share their views, where people can have political parties that are real, where they can have real elections, where people can openly campaign.
Do you think sanctions work?
That's such a hard question. Sometimes sanctions are the best option you have. It's very hard to know with a country like Burma what will actually move Burma toward the path of being a democracy, an open society. And sanctions have been, I think, a useful tool. I know that Aung San Suu Kyi has said she's found them helpful and useful in recent public statements. But, it's hard to know what really are the steps that it will take. And again, I think this is where Thailand and many of the other ASEAN countries have been really good friends in talking with not only the United States, but European countries about how we can best influence change in Burma.
With the rise of China, do you think that the balance of power, I can say, tipped to this part of the world, Asia?
Well, China is a big part of that, but so are all the other countries here. Just look at the population sizes in Asia now, the economic growth in Asia. The economic growth numbers from China to Thailand to Indonesia, Malaysia, and India, incredible. If you are a U.S. investor, you want to be heading to this kind of part of the world. You want to sell products. You want to be selling them here because here's where the people are, increasingly affluent. And China's rise economically has been good for everyone. American business is doing well in China. We all are. Thailand has also got a great trade with China. So I think China's rise and the importance of this part of the world has definitely drawn attention to the whole Asia-Pacific region.
But does it make the U.S. feel smaller or threatened?
I don't think so. I don't feel that way. I actually think it's really good to have other countries who can take on important global roles. Today's world, I was saying, no one country can solve all the problems. And so I think for the United States to have other strong countries who are interested in helping solve global problems, who are collaborating, whether it's on economic growth or medical research or technology, I think that's great for everyone. I never viewed this as a competition.
So with all these changes going on in the world, is the U.S. still a global power? With the rise of China, India, all the BRIC countries, Brazil,
Brazil,
Russia,
another interesting
South
country.
Africa,
I actually think there's never been a more exciting time to be, at least in my profession, to be doing foreign affairs and working with other countries, because the world is changing. And I think for the United States, we will continue to be interested in the whole world. We need the whole world. You know, it's been proven to us, if we want our economy to grow, we have to do business with other countries. You know, Americans are increasingly interested in studying overseas. So I think for America, this is a good thing. And I think most Americans are really rediscovering a lot of the world. And you know, we're a nation made up of people from all of these countries.
True.
So I think for the United States as a people, we feel very comfortable having other countries active, growing, taking important voices and roles in the world.
What would you say to people who think U.S.'s foreign policy is always interfering in other people's affairs?
Well, first of all, I'd say they're welcome to their opinion. That's part of the beauty of life, is people can have their own opinions. I hope we aren't. You know, my goal here in Thailand will be very much to be a good friend, but to leave issues that are for Thailand to solve to Thailand. You know, your politics. I don't vote in Thailand, so I leave it to Thai citizens to vote, to express their views as they want to. So I hope we don't interfere. I know that's something it's often easy to say, the United States interferes. I try very hard as a diplomat not to be available as a friend, but to make very clear issues that are really for Thai people and Thailand to solve.